for today's session. I can see 23 of them who have joined as participants. I hope others will be joining us soon. And I hope you all are doing well and having good time. And students, I'm excited to announce some great news that we have for you. One is we have Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim, who has joined us as senior lecturer at UWL RAK. And secondly, we now have the Employability Lab at UWL RAK. So you can take part in activities and workshops that will help you to develop the skills that employers are looking for, right? And this is an initiative introduced and led by Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim. And today's session is specially designed for UWL RAK students under Employability Lab. And the topic for the session is how to handle the toughest interview questions. And before we start, let me give you all a formal introduction for presenter, our senior lecturer, Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim. You will also see him at the position of Director of Enterprise Development at UWL RAK. And he was the former Vice President at the Sharjah Isar Executive Coach and Motivation.
Anupama, I think we are losing your voice.
Of international awards. Is it fine now? So you are able to hear me clearly?
It's better. It's better, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I was telling you like about Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim, and he has been conducting various personality. So now let's start with today's session, and Dr. Sangeet will take it forward from here.
Thank you, Anupama. Thank you once again for that lovely introduction. Guys, it's a pleasure to be with all of you. I shouldn't be welcoming you because I'm the newcomer here. You've been part of the UWL community for long, yeah, and it's a pleasure. I've joined probably a couple of weeks back, and really looking forward to working with you guys and the entire fraternity to make things better for all of us. Yeah. Now, couple of ground rules. I hope you're able to hear me properly. We'll be muting you by default when you enter the webinar. You'll be muted. We would prefer to keep you muted all throughout, unless and until you have a very pertinent question or a doubt or a disagreement or whatever. But please feel free to use the chat box extensively, because this is going to be a highly interactive session. The session is for you and not for me. So first, just want to make sure that you guys use the chat box. Are you able to hear me properly? Can I get a yes or no in the chat box, please? Wonderful. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Kabir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, pleasure. With respect to employability, I've been working closely with the higher colleges of technology. I was on the advisory panel for 2 years. I worked with Curtin. I worked with Manipal University. I worked with Abu Dhabi University, particularly in the domain of employability. And I'm currently a consultant for Sharjah government as well, for Sharjah capability development. We are trying to build up employability skills in young Emiratis. So it's a pleasure. Well, I've been quite successful in that domain before, because I don't look at you as students. Yeah, of course you're students, but when I look at you, I see you as young professionals or young entrepreneurs on a journey onto joining great organizations, okay, doing amazing things, having fancy titles and great job descriptions, or being successful entrepreneurs. So it's just a stopover, it's a pit stop in the journey. And I hope and pray that I'll be able to add value to you through the employability programs that we have, okay? I think it's important that we get to know each other quickly. Let me post a link in the chat box. Can I invite you to please visit this link? Maybe you can open up another browser window, or maybe you could pick the link that's available in the chat box. Okay, and you'll find a green screen with a red plus button on the right side. Yeah, you can just click on that button and you can enter your name, what you do, the course that you do, and the most important question that I have for you today: what are some of the strengths that you have? let us start with a very challenging interview question. You'll have a panel sitting in front of you and people asking this question, what are your strengths, right? So what I would request you to do is click on the red button, enter your name, the course that you're doing currently, and one or two of the strengths that you have, strengths that you think you have, okay? So if you're finding any difficulty in accessing the link, please do let me know. You can chat about it. So let me take a look. Have you guys joined in? Oh, wonderful. I'm late. Yeah. Let me share the screen. That would be interesting for you to see all the inputs coming in. Let me click on the waiting room. Meanwhile, so we've got 45 participants so far. We've got Nada, we've got Azra, Muhammad Jasir. Shankar says problem solving is a strength that he has. Okay, Sumaya, just BA accounting. You haven't spoken about your strengths. Working under stress or pressure, says Hamid. That's great. Muhammad Zain says he's confident, interactive. Hamid says he's able to manage time well, work under stress or pressure well. Awesome. Admit all. And more names coming in. My biggest strength is my ability to learn anything quickly, says Zaid. Joshua Thomas, nothing about strengths. Muhammad Jasir says leadership is his strength and he's a confident person. Richard Raphael says he's a good communicator. Awesome. Okay. Jihad says he's able to work well in a team. Azra says she's a quick learner. Again, a lot of amazing positive attributes. Yeah, wonderful. Good to have you all on board, guys. I think I'm going to really enjoy working with you all, and I hope the feeling would be mutual as well. Yeah. Let me stop sharing this. Couple more people to be admitted. Somebody has a license, says Asamba. Yeah, it is a strength, definitely, but not a very exclusive strength because probably in a year or two, many others among your peers will also have licenses. Mishab says communication. Wonderful. Okay. Now, this is a very pertinent question that employers ask. What are your strengths? So how do you come to know what your strengths are? Yeah, you just can't sit and brag, right? I have this, I have this, I have that. Those should be strengths. People should be able to acknowledge and say, oh yeah, communication is his strength. Oh, he is a team player. Yeah, so, well, let me not talk about any intuitive mechanism to find out strengths. Couple of links that I have for you here. I'll get Anupama to share them in the email as well when we send out an email thanking you for participating. These are two authentic, psychologically sound websites which are run by psychologists, which can help you find your strengths. So the first one is hifitest.com and the other one is richardstep.com. So I invite you, not now, when you have some free time. It probably takes 5 to 10 minutes of your time to visit these links and to understand your strengths, because that's definitely a question that your prospective employers would ask. Yeah, so thank you guys. Welcome on board. Have you heard about the fourth industrial revolution? I've just typed it in the chat box. Have you heard about it? Have you read about it? Are you concerned about it? Do you have a strategy to beat it? Can I get a yes or no in the chat box, please? Have you heard about the fourth industrial revolution? What is the fourth industrial revolution? It doesn't have a very cool name, but that is something that is going to touch you. Shankar says yes. Oh, most of you. Wonderful. Okay. So Jannat says yes. Happy to know that. Well, what's frightening about the fourth industrial revolution? Jeremy says never heard of it. Fourth industrial revolution is the time period that we are going through right now. Okay, and the time period that we'll be a part of, at least in the near future. This is the period where robotics and machine learning and AI is going to creep into the corporate workforce and make a lot of jobs redundant. So I'm not here to scare you, but I want you to be aware of what's happening, because I used to work in a bank as a vice president, And I've seen many jobs, several jobs which had existed for ages becoming redundant. So by the time you guys pass out, you will have to know that many of the jobs that you're aspiring for today might not be really existing by the time you pass out in, let's say, 1 year, 2 years or so. So you will have to be prepared to fit into the shoes of the new positions and new roles that's coming in. Uh, I wouldn't call it sad, Azamba. I wouldn't call it sad, Zain, because new jobs are evolving. This is just a question of us understanding what's going to happen and being proactive and learning new skills so that you can be the choicest employees to adorn those roles. Have you heard about the gig economy? The gig economy is a situation where you don't have a fixed job, you act as a freelancer. So organizations, when they have a project, they'll advertise and they'll take you on board. They'll give you a quick induction training. They'll train you on the values and the skills, and you start working. 2 months, 3 months, the project is over. Masalama, you move to another organization. So even the UAE is slowly moving towards the gig economy. Okay. So we'll all have to change our mindsets, and we'll have to really work on new employability skills. And that's the reason we've started this initiative over here. We're going to really focus on 21st century skills and make sure that you guys have the upper hand when you pass out. Okay. Now let's take a quick look at this. Have you checked this website out? Let's do this together. Will robots take my job.com? Okay. So let's take a look at this together. I'm going to share the screen. Where is that particular tab? Okay, not this one. Let me close this. Yeah. I hope you guys can see the, let me just go back to the meeting room. 7 are waiting. So we admitted them all in. Okay. Now, I hope you can see the screen. This is an AI-based software, AI-based website, AI-based portal, which sort of throws light on the kind of jobs that will exist in the future. Okay, so you can enter any job that you want. Let me enter the job of marketing manager. Okay. Now, wow. So if any in the webinar today have decided to be a marketing manager in the future, then there's only 1.4% of that job being taken over by a robot. Okay, so that particular job is going to stay. Let's go back and check out another job. Let's check out the job of a lawyer. Okay, job of a lawyer. 4% chance of that being automated. 4% chance of that job being taken over by a robot. Let's look at the job of an accountant and auditor. So I understand that a lot of you are finance students here. So this might come as a shock to you. Ta-dang! 94% chance of that particular job, the way the job is being done today, will be taken over by robots. So now that's something shocking, because automation and AI and machine learning is really focused on this particular domain. So you'll really have to come up with some new skills, okay, and be ready to ease into the morphed or the mutated jobs in this space in the future. So do check that website out when you're free. Ask university for a refund. I mean, of course, this is a course that's been that's provided at every university in the world. So it's not the problem with the course. It's just a question of you guys trying to gain those skills that will make you relevant. Yeah. Okay, so that's my objective was not to set panic amongst you. It's just to make you aware of what's happening. Now, let's get into the topic. Let's get into the topic of interviewing and employability skills. Guys, I might not be able to really touch upon interview questions today because I want to make sure that some of the basics are handled. We'll have to do this one step at a time. So in case we're not able to start that particular topic or complete it, don't worry, we'll have a series of sessions, quite encouraged by the number of participants now. And those of you who are willing to be with us on this journey, we'll be doing a series of sessions on employability. So we'll definitely talk more about uh, uh, interviews, how to handle interviews, how to really, portray a positive impression, how to exude confidence, how to make sure that the interviewer knows that you're competent, that you know about the domain, that you're committed and ready to add value to the organization. Yeah? I was promised you would cover interview question section today. Santa, don't worry. I'm not saying I would not, but there are a lot of very relevant points that we have to cover. Okay, and if at all we get time, we'll do that, because unless we go through the basics, right? And I'm sure you'll appreciate us for doing that as well. Okay, I don't want to just jump onto the interview questions, though I'll try to. I've had the opportunity to really work with students and be a part of a student community which has really succeeded in getting good jobs and doing well in their careers. So the main difference that I see between them and those who really struggle to find a job is mindfulness. By mindfulness, what I mean is those who really get good jobs have a plan in place. They know what kind of organizations they want to join. They know what kind of jobs are available out there, and then they plan for it, they strategize for it, and they do what is required to reach there. So, can I ask you this question, guys? If I ask you, which organization do you want to join after passing out? What answers would you give me? Well, of course, it's nice to talk about Google and Apple and NASA. I usually get responses like that. It's good to be ambitious, but it's also worthwhile to have more realistic plan B and plan C. McDonald's. Okay. I hope you don't end up working in McDonald's or KFC, because they are the worst paymasters in the world. Okay, you get to sweat a lot, you get to face angry customers, and you're not paid well enough for that. So may God Almighty, I mean, with all respect to people who are working in those kind of organizations, may God Almighty save you from that. Yeah. MR KPMG says Zaid. Network International, of course, the one that's providing payment solutions. UWL. Somebody wants to be a doctor. Okay, guys, it's important. 55, 52 participants, and I'm getting probably just 5 or 6 responses. Oh, somebody wants to be in your own company. Mohammed Swail, my advice to you would be not to jump into your company immediately. My advice would be to work in an excellent organization. Okay, in an excellent organization where you get to learn everything about the market, get to learn about the tools, get to learn about strategies. And then after working there for 4 or 5 years, you understand the market, understand everything that it takes to be successful. And then you go and work in your own company. Don't start with your own company. Airport management, airport. Okay, it's great that you have some kind of plans. Couple of weeks back, there was a friend's daughter who approached me and said, "Could you, Mohammed Zain, to be a YouTuber?" Wonderful. YouTubers make a lot of money, but just look up the statistics. It's only 0.0006% of YouTubers who really earn something worthwhile. So I'm not discouraging you. It's always good to have a plan B and then get into YouTubing as a part-time activity. And when you build your base up, you can jump onto that fully. Shankar says Tata Group, KPMG, airport management. Thank you. Selling fruits is a good business. Anything is a good business, Asamba. Anything is a good business, provided you know the tricks of the trade, you know the strategy, and then you work hard towards it. Somebody says McKinsey, and I found the names of KPMG and McKinsey. I had this friend's daughter who came to me and said, Dr. Ibrahim, you seem to have a lot of friends in the HR domain. Could you kindly send my CV around? Now, she's a chemical engineer. She passed out from AUS. And I asked her, I'll do that. Definitely, I'll do that. But could you please tell me what organizations you're targeting? And then she came back and said, yes, I'm targeting Petrofac, I'm targeting Enoch, and I'm targeting SNOC. So I said, wow, now that's something amazing. That's great. It's good to have a target. And once you have the target, you also have to know what kind of job you would prefer doing. Yeah. Supposedly HR people have no soul. Can you confirm? if HR people don't have a soul, then the entire job of attracting talented people, engaging them, developing them, retaining them wouldn't happen. I mean, employees would not be called as assets. We wouldn't use the word human capital. It's HR people who, in fact, give a soul to the whole organization. Yeah. Hamad says DreamWorks animation. Wonderful. Okay. Now, guys, what I want to do is, and by the way, the job that you take doesn't necessarily have to be aligned with your major. Okay, let's make it clear. I'm an electronic engineer. I passed out from Manipal Institute of Technology. Then I'm an MBA in marketing. Then I got into training and HR. Okay, I worked in multinational. So your major doesn't necessarily have to dictate what job you do in the future. So when I said basics, this is what I had in mind. Let me share the screen here. I hope you guys can see the screen. When organizations recruit you, what do they recruit you for? They recruit you to do one of these jobs. Okay. Well, I'm not talking about specialized jobs like doctors. Okay. I'm talking about the generic jobs that are available out there in the corporate space. They either recruit you to sell more products. So you need particular skills to be able to sell properly. You work in a multinational, selling is a great job. Okay, you could be selling multi-million-dollar worth of software or products or services. Uh, Another vertical is serving customers well. You could also be in the purchasing domain where you engage with suppliers. Okay, you manage suppliers and get great products and services at low cost. You could be in finance where you manage the finances of the organization. You could be in product development, which is all about creativity, understanding what customers want, coming up with innovative products. You could run and improve processes, which is a very technical attention to detail oriented job. HR, the soulless domain, as mentioned by a friend, attract, engage, develop, and retain good employees. Ensure work is done efficiently without errors. So you could be in audit, you could be in controls for that. Reach out to more prospects and build the brand. Another exciting job domain in which is marketing. Manage technology and information, IT with its million prospects. Learn about industry trends and best practices, which is more about, it's called business excellence, where you learn what's happening, what are the best practices that are happening. Create an awesome strategy, which is about strategic planning. Manage projects effectively, which is project management. Ensure compliance and protect the organization, which is also, it's called risk management. So these are the typical jobs that are available. Now, if you want to really get into a great organization and get into a plum job, it's extremely important for you today, not then, to be aware of what kind of jobs exist out there and what kind of jobs suit you. Okay, it's extremely important. Tariq is in the waiting room. Let me just admit him. So the next slide is very important. I want you guys to take a look. You have to, from today, understand what your niche is and which department would you want to attach yourself to once you pass out. Would you want to be in human resources? Would you want to be in marketing and promotion? Okay, would you want to be in customer service support, sales, accounting and finance, production, research and development, administrative and management, operations, IT, legal? Yeah, so start thinking about it today. Don't just wait for it till you get your degree, till the convocation is over, you've tossed your hats and you've entered the big bad world where, always supply is more than the demand. So corporates, especially good ones, are really looking for students who stand out, students who clearly have a plan, students who've done internship according to their interests and dreams. So it's very important for you to really know which organization you want to be a part of, okay, and what kind of jobs you would want to do. Before we go ahead, do all this for 1,000 dirhams per month. Mohammed Zian, don't just look at it from that point of view, because when you get into a great organization, you get a lot of opportunities to learn, you get a lot of opportunities to network, okay? And you get a lot of opportunities to build your skills. So particularly your first few years, please don't look at it as an opportunity just to make money. Because once you build up your skills, once you have a great CV, let me ask you, Zain, why should an employer pay you more? An employer is paying employees for what they give back in return, right? So if you're able to come up with amazing products, if you're able to sell phenomenally, if you're able to improve their processes, if you're able to attract great talents, if you prove your worth, they will pay you. But as a young student who's just passed out, you don't get an opportunity to prove your worth. And that is why you should look at organizations. Yeah, that's the way you should look at jobs. It's not just the amount of the salary. I started off at 5,000 Indian rupees when I first started my career. It's not that I want to brag. My last job I was getting 65,000 dirhams. Yeah, so it's not that you have to be stuck with that small salary forever. Yeah, so look at it as an opportunity to grow and develop. Do you think the current education system and market will enable us to get the job in other sectors, like a finance guy in marketing? Definitely, Suhail. It's just a question of the strategy that you want. Because the interviewer on the other side, I've been on the other side, I'm still on the other side. We are not really insisting that you have a particular degree. It's just a question of your readiness in the market. Yeah. Wonderful. Would you have any questions, guys? Or can I move on? I have a feeling, looking at your comments, a lot of you have a kind of feeling that entrepreneurship is a great idea. It is a great idea. It is a brilliant idea. You can really earn a lot of money. Yeah. But to succeed in business, it also takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of determination. It takes a lot of hard work. The chances for a person to really succeed in business are much, much less compared to the chances a person has to succeed in the corporate domain as an employee. So you could, of course, start off as an employee, and then later, once you understand the market, you can go to plan B. How many of you have an active LinkedIn account? Hamad says yes. I do. Wonderful. Great. Do you really spend time on LinkedIn as much time that you spend on Instagram and other social media platforms? Suhail says yes. Not much. Okay, guys, what I want to do is now share with you. I want to share with you a brief video that I've made just for you guys. Okay.
Number one reason for you to have an active LinkedIn account, especially if you are going to actively look for a job in the near future. So let me show you the magic of LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm going to enter talent, development, learning, business excellence, Islamic Bank. Now, I've not entered the region. I've not entered Dubai or UAE or Middle East. I've just entered career profile strengths. Okay, so these are departments. Now, the moment somebody is searching for a professional using these keywords, see the first name that comes up. Okay, the first name is that of Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim, because I've been spending a lot of time on LinkedIn and building up a profile to my advantage. Okay, so this is the advantage of having a good LinkedIn profile. Now, how do you reach out to professionals to aid you in your job search? So let's say one of the organizations that you've decided to work in is Enoch. Okay, so you click on Enoch, and you can see that there are 22756 employees who are on LinkedIn. You click on those and see who you want to connect. You want to connect with Taha Amir, the HR director. Okay, so you click on connect. You can also do one thing. You can click on his profile and see what he's been up to. Okay, has he been posting anything actively? Okay, he has not been very active, but that's fine, because if he has been active, then when you send a connection request, you can make a passing reference to the article that he posted or the comment that he made. Over here, what you can mention is, hello, I'm a university student, okay, who's reaching out to industry professionals and subject matter experts like you. would love to connect with you. You have a great profile, and I'm really interested in learning from you. So please accept my request. Okay. Now, will everyone that you reach out to accept your request? I don't think so. But from my experience of having worked with students, approximately 30 to 40% of people you send requests to come back to you. They accept the request. So that's a great opportunity. By the time you're ready to pass out, we're talking about around 500, 600 top professionals working in choicest organizations that you want to join. Now, once they connect with you, how do you take the relationship forward? Okay, don't just maintain silence, radio silence. I'll give you an example. Pete Baker, this is the CEO of First Abu Dhabi Bank, an organization that I was interested in working in. So when you click on message, you can see how I've been communicating. Every time I come up with a LinkedIn video, every time I do a webinar, every time I do something relevant to him, I post it in. Now, this bubble over here shows that he's been seeing all these posts. Really, he's not been responding. That's not a problem. If he responds, even better. But definitely, you know, I can come to know that he's seeing the good work that I'm doing. So just imagine what happens. Over the period of time, you're becoming more visible. You're building a great brand attribute, that you're a learner, that you like to share things, that you're active in the community, whatever. Another example would be Iman Abdul Razak. Now, this is a person that I'm actively following, the head of HR of Emirates NBD. Click on the message tab and you can see that I've been doing everything possible to keep her up to date about the work that I'm doing. Yeah, so this is a great way for you to build your brand visibility. Now, if you're not sure which organizations you want to join, you can again resort to Google and you can say top 50 companies in the UAE. See, it's over here. Click on the top 50 companies. They're all available here. Click on Forbes, pretty reputed and credible site. And once you get the list of the top 50 companies, you have the top 10 over here, and then it goes forth. Then go to LinkedIn, click on the organization, connect with the key professionals over there, and start building amazing relationships.
I'm trying to promote myself. In fact, in today's world, where you've got a lot of competitors, if you want to create a space where there's no competition, you'll have to then do great stuff and then make sure the world knows about it as well. Okay, I was not planning to ask this question, but since you brought up this interesting point of self-promotion, I think I should address it, and I should thank you for this. In fact, when you hear the word Maserati, what words come to your mind? Could you type that in the chat box, please? When you hear the word Maserati, only car, luxury. Thank you, Zain. Wonderful. Yeah. When you hear the word Maserati, luxury, expensive, fast, posh. These are the words. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Zain. These are the words that come to your mind. When you hear the word Kia, what words come to your mind? No offense meant to Kia. When you hear the word Kia, what words come to your mind? Korea, cost efficient, yes. Korean made. Economical, wonderful. So the reason why these attributes come to your mind is because they've been self-promoting, right? They've been promoting their worth. Now, when you want to buy breakfast cereal and you go to the mall, most probably you'll pick up Kellogg's. Not because there are no other products on the shelf. There are a lot of other products jostling for space and saying, you know, buy me, try me out, you know, good discount, I'm better than the others. But you immediately go and buy Kellogg's in all probability. That's because Kellogg's has spent time and energy to prove its brand attributes to the world at large. And that's exactly why now, if somebody mentions your name, okay, what words would come to their mind? Would they talk about somebody with initiative, somebody who communicates well, somebody who takes work seriously, somebody who delivers excellent results, or somebody who's, you know, happy-go-lucky, somebody who doesn't have a plan, and somebody who's just, killing time? If those are the attributes that you have, then you will find it extremely, extremely tough to make a mark in this world. So it is important for you to be good and also to promote yourself, because that's the only way the world can sit up and notice, which is extremely important today. Yeah. So anyway, so my advice to my young brothers and sisters is, from now on, at least 30 minutes a day, spend time on LinkedIn. Okay. What you can really do is, by the time you pass out, it could be in 6 months, it could be in 1.5 years, or whatever, you can really build the base of around at least 300 to 400 top professionals, yeah, from the choicest companies in the region. So by the time you're passing out, you are in a much better position compared to your peers to get placed in these organizations. Well, there are a lot of other strategies, like getting good internships in these places, and of course, if you maintain contacts with these stakeholders and decision makers, that makes it easy for you as well. Okay. Would you have any questions, guys? Particular questions on what I'd mentioned? If you have any particular questions, you can type them in the chat box. Thank you, Hamid. As a student, we don't get proper internship opportunities on the field that we are looking for. Jannat, can I challenge you on this? You had a lot of free time, right, before classes start, and you have another couple of months. How many of you really went out and looked for internship opportunities? There are a lot. If you go to indeed.ae, the website, and search for internship opportunities, there are thousands of internship opportunities for students in the UAE, and many of them are virtual internship opportunities. So why do you really want to have this given to you on a platter? You know, the moment you pass out and enter the workforce, nobody's going to give things to you on a platter. And I know a lot of students have landed plum internship opportunities because they've gone for it. It's indeed.ae. This is a premium job portal, and it's free, of course. And they list internship opportunities as well. In fact, Emirates NBD, a bank, they've just closed registrations for a virtual internship opportunity, where you get a chance to learn about banking. They'll give you projects to do, and they'll even give you a certificate. So in today's world, no one can say, I didn't get opportunities. You know, you have to go create opportunities, because information is available, resources are available, contacts are available. Yeah. Aren't many online courses teaching the same thing as universities? Mohammed Suhail, engagement is extremely important. You know, online courses are there. I sell courses on Udemy. My course on psychological selling has got 4.2 stars rating, but the number of dropped classes, you know, because it's not very engaging to learn online. You definitely need a community around you. You need teachers, you need mentors, you need tutors. You need to be able to speak to people, you know, clarify your doubts, get motivated. That's why universities are still hot and in the reckoning even now. Okay. How do I become a doctor for applying for commerce? Well, that's a question I need to take offline. Yeah, I need to take offline. Well, anyway, if you don't have more questions, by the way, guys, thank you. Thanks a lot for the engagement. A lot of beautiful questions, and I hope and pray you will really start thinking about employability in the future and start working towards it. Because trust me, I've seen two kinds of students while I've worked with them. One, who consider university days to be a paid holiday. You know, they're just for fun. They're just coming there for fun. So they don't listen in class. They don't take care of projects, do projects well. They don't search for internship opportunities. They don't build employability skills. Yeah, they're just there to have fun. While there are certain students who focus number one on all these aspects and still have loads of fun, because doing all this doesn't really take much time. Okay, if you plan your days well, you can do all this and still have loads of fun. Now the difference is, when these students pass out, I've had the opportunity to see that. You know, when I was doing my engineering, I was never a brilliant student. I was never a student who took a lot of effort. And when the placement agencies come in and when you start attending interviews, you will find these guys who really did well and then had fun getting placed into great organizations, and you think, oops, I'm better than him. You know, I've got better analytical reasoning than him. I can communicate better than him. I'm smarter than him. But then unfortunately, because you didn't use the time strategically, you lose out on those opportunities. Yeah. Somebody had mentioned about placements. Yes, we are definitely going to look at it in a big way. In fact, the Employability Lab was started for that reason. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that, you know, number one, we want to build skills in students, and the products that we give out to the corporate space are really, really good. Yeah, that's one of the things that we want to do. So we're starting off, we want to do it one step at a time. Next step would be to engage with the corporate sector, bring them on board, show them the worth of the students that we have, and definitely that will lead to an increase in the number of students being absorbed. Sorry to hear that, Sonari. If you've not been placed yet, let's be in touch, okay? And we'll definitely support you in every possible way. That's the reason I've been brought in, to focus more on employability and relationships with the corporate sector. Yeah? Wonderful. What do you think about digital content being the future of business? Digital content definitely will be the future of business. Digital interactions will be the backbone of business. Digitizing will be a huge industry in the future, but then traditional operational models will also be there, because at the end of the day, you'll have to create products, sell them, serve customers well, make money, yeah, manage your finances properly. So all those would still be relevant. Yeah. Let me get back to the screen now. Now, to my friend who asked about interview questions, the reason why I said we need to get basics right. Anupama, can you see the screen? Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Guys, the reason why we wanted to take you through this journey step by step is, much before you attend an interview, there are certain other processes that happen. So when you apply for a job, let's say you apply on LinkedIn, or you apply on a job portal, or you have a campus placement cell, corporates come to take you, they will immediately not invite you to be interviewed. Why is that? Because they've got loads and loads of applicants, and they need a shortlisting process before you could be interviewed. So unless and until you know what those steps are, and unless and until you can master those steps and excel in those steps, you'll find it really tough. Okay. So the first step that you have is, you'll be sent a link with a set of aptitude tests. Okay. So basically 3 types: numeric reasoning, verbal reasoning, and abstract reasoning. Now, based on your response in these tests, you will be called for an interview. Ideally, students who score more than 70% in aptitude tests are invited for the interview. So let me share the screen and show you those questions. Can you answer these questions? These are some of the simplest aptitude tests that go around. If a certain code lute is written as mute and fate is written as gate, how will blue be written in that code? Try it out. You can type your answers in the chat box. If fish is written as EHRG in a certain code, how would jungle be written in that code? You get probably less than maybe 30, 40 seconds to answer every question. And unless and until you get this right, it is going to be extremely, extremely tough to reach the interview stage. I have another one on numeric reasoning. Which year has the lowest proportion of students to non-students living on the university campus? So this is the data that is given to you, based on which you find the answer within 30 seconds. You then have, guys, could you kindly mute yourself?
Ada, let me sell fruits, Ada.
I think it's my friend who's been talking about fruits all the while. Yeah, it's good. It's a good model. Yeah, a lot of people make money selling fruits, but you need to make sure that you get your fundamentals right, because you've spent some time at the university, right? You've had a lot of opportunities to gain good skills, build up a good network. So use those skills and then do fruit selling right. This is what I would like to advise you. Okay, so guys, the aptitude tests are extremely important. So now, how do you prepare yourself to answer aptitude tests well? There are a lot of online aptitude tests available, free of them. My request would be spend at least 10 to 15 minutes of it each week. Get into these aptitude tests, see how they are, because you'll have to develop a knack in answering them, which can help you to be faster and be more accurate. Because unless and until you do that, it's very tough for you to get into the interview phases. Okay? Now, once you do the aptitude tests, so step one would be to do the aptitude tests, then you're not interviewed directly. In good organizations, they take you through what is called as a development center. Okay, development center. Now, in this development center is very cool. You have loads and loads of fun in a development center. But while you're having fun, you're also being assessed. Okay, so now what I want to do is, I want to split you into teams, and I would like to ask you to do an activity. Let's see how you do it. Okay, you have, let me share the screen first. Okay, guys, this is a typical development center activity that good organizations use. They bring all the prospects, all those who have applied for the job, of course, those who have qualified the aptitude testing round, they're brought into a room. Once they're brought into the room, they're given this assignment. They're told that you're all traveling by boat, okay? And while you're traveling by boat, your boat sinks. And you guys manage to swim to safety, God's grace. Once you reach an island, you reach an amazing island, you have to come up with a name for that island. You have to design a flag for that island. You'll have to come up with 5 rules for that island, like a constitution, and you have to come up with a national anthem for the island. Okay? Come up with a name, design a flag, come up with 5 rules, and come up with a national anthem. Just 4 things. And you only have 8 minutes to do so. So what I want to do now, is to split you into different teams. Welcome back, guys. I know the environment would have been extremely confusing. What you've gone through is what is called as a leaderless activity. There's no formal leader assigned. Couple of challenges are given to you, and you're told that you've got, let's say, 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. And much before the time duration is completed, you're brought back in. Would you have any volunteers? Anybody who would like to speak up or talk about? That was fast 8 minutes. Thank you, Hamid. Because though we say you have 8 minutes, usually it's close to at least 20 or 30% before. Anybody who would like to volunteer? Yes, Zain. But anyone who would want to volunteer, at least if you've got the name right, at least if you got the rules right, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Amar.
Yes, Amar.
We actually did come up with 5 rules, but that's about it. We couldn't really do anything else apart from that. So we have a structure that somewhat resembles communism, because since we just landed on the island, we really don't have any idea of how to allocate resources. So the best way is to have the resources belong to the authority. That means we will be having a certain authority in the village, or whatever we call it. And there won't be any private ownership, so that we avoid scarcity of resources. And then we allocate how we're going to sustain ourselves. That would be essentially fishery and farming, or maybe going to the jungle and hunting.
Okay.
So that would be initial, in the initial stages at least. And then when we have a better idea of our demographic, then we can move on to a more structured approach. So that would be the initial 5 rules, is what I believe.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Hitler
wonderful.
would be very proud, but Hitler wasn't a communist. Hitler was fascist.
Anyway, let's not take that up. Amar, thank you. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate what you guys have done. Yeah, thanks a lot. Anyone else would like to volunteer the name or any discussions on the design on the flag or anything on the rules? Anyone else? You can unmute yourself and speak. Would love to hear from you. Oh, you want to type that in? You could do that as well. Okay. Since I'm not getting volunteers, let me tell you why that particular activity was done. Okay. Anupama, you can see the screen, right?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. Now, after you are selected, provided you've done the psychometric tests well or the aptitude tests well, the next stage is a development center. Okay. In this development center, they don't assign you particular roles. So no one is appointed as a leader. You're just put in a room and you're given an activity. And once you're given an activity, the assessors will stand around and watch. Because typically what happens is that 1 or maybe 5 or 10% of you start taking up a leadership position. You'll say, guys, what to do? What are we supposed to do? How do we start? Okay. And then probably somebody starts coming up with suggestions. There'll be many who are quite apathetic, many who are drawn back, should I say something? How can I say maybe I'm wrong? And some of them who are totally, trying to change the whole aura in the room, playing around and fooling around and trying to be cool. And now everything that these people do, nobody has been given special instructions, would be recorded. And based on that, they create what is called as a champ behavior and chimp behavior. Okay. Now, champ behavior is if anybody takes initiative. Guys, shouldn't we say something? Okay. Somebody who's mindful of time. Guys, we only have 4 more minutes to go. Come on, we have not done anything. Somebody who says, hey, you're good at drawing. Why don't you do that? You have not spoken anything. Why don't you say something? Okay. And somebody who's encouraging others, come on, guys, let's do this. We need to do that. And then exactly what Amar did, when there was an opportunity and that opportunity was kept open, he opened up and he said, and he presented very effectively. Okay, spoke with conviction, articulated everything very well, pretty impressive. So of course, this is just, it's a make-believe island. You're not in a real situation. Yeah, and this is just an activity. But even when all these things are unreal, still some of you chose to be serious about it. Some of you chose to show initiative, some of you chose to show leadership, and some of you diligently managed the whole activity. And we also have the chimps. The chimp behavior is somebody who gets stuck saying, I don't know what to do. Or somebody who's very apathetic who's saying, this is not for me, man. Why did I get stuck in this? What activity is this? Some of them could be arrogant and pushy and calling names and trying to put the other person down, or saying my way is the highway. And some of them could be absolutely fooling around. What activity? This is not for me. Yeah. Or when you're presenting, somebody could be fumbling. Now, this is the second most, even before you reach the interview, the most important part of selection in all the major organizations in the world, because they just cannot devote time for interviews. So you will be brought into a room and you'll be given activities, and the way you behave would be assessed. In good organizations, you're even recorded, because in case there's a dispute later on where they say, you fooled around, or you got stuck, or you didn't take a leadership role, they can replay the tapes and show you what they're talking about. So this is again a very important part. So you need to be aware of those behaviors, because they call it counterproductive behavior and productive behaviors. It's based on which you're brought into the organization. Yeah. Now, this is an example that I give for all those who choose to be counterproductive, for all those who think this is cool, let's play around and stuff like that. Those of you who really think my job is to be funny, to make everybody laugh. So the example that I give is, I don't know how many of you have been to Dubai Zoo. Now they've closed it down. There used to be a lovely zoo on Jumeirah Road. Okay. Now, when you enter that zoo, probably you'd have gone there as kids, I'm sure. Yeah, because they closed it down recently, and most of you are probably, in your 20s. Now, when you enter Dubai Zoo, you first move close to the birds enclosure. You'll see a flamingo on the right side. You'll see an ostrich, and then when you keep moving, you will reach one area where you'll see people hanging around and laughing and jumping and throwing peanuts into a cage. People are very jovial when they stand there, and that's a cage of monkeys. Okay, so you see the monkeys jumping around and dancing and doing funny antics, and that's how people behave towards monkeys. Then after a while, they just move out. Okay, they move out, and then next to that there is another cage. Now, the moment you reach the other cage, you find people standing in rapt attention, with a lot of respect. Yeah, now that's the cage of the lion. So over there, people don't joke around, people don't fool around, people don't throw food at it. They just stand with awe and respect. Now, the way the world will treat us, the way the employers will treat us, the way our fellow community will treat us definitely depends on the way we are. Okay. Now, we cannot decide to be good in the future, because the future self always find different ways to justify, to remain the same. It's a question of taking a decision. I'll have to be serious. I'll have to indulge in productive behaviors. And even after indulging in productive behaviors, I'll still find a lot of time to have fun. I'll still find a lot of time to be cool. So it's a choice that we need to make. We'll have to decide, should the world treat us like a monkey or should the world treat us like a lion? So that again depends on the behavior that we display. So the development center is stage 2. And once you do a development center, okay, those who get selected after the aptitude test. So my request was, if I go back, first is have an active LinkedIn account. Okay, get into the habit of spending at least 15 to 20 minutes on LinkedIn every single day. Put up a target. Say that by the time I pass out, I'll make sure that I get at least 300 great contacts in the top 20, 30 organizations in the UAE or abroad. Yeah. And then you start harvesting these contacts. Start spending time working on aptitude tests, at least probably maybe 30 minutes or 45 minutes a week, so that you become quite eloquent in handling aptitude tests. Realize that anything that you'll be asked to go through would be a part of an assessment, like a development center. So understand, even read about development centers, the kind of activities they make you do, and understand what is chimp behavior and champ behavior, because your chances of getting recruited depends heavily on that. And then finally, Joy says I'm inaudible. Anupama, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay. Joy, it could be a problem at your end, yeah? It could be an issue at your end. And then finally, you reach the interview panel. Okay, so what happens when you reach the interview panel? What I have for you is, before you attend the interview, let me share the screen again. Before you attend the interview, make sure that you get your body language right. Make sure that you exude confidence. Okay, your straight, expansive body. When you sit facing an interview, don't withdraw yourself. Don't be drawn back, slightly leaning on the table. Make sure that your arms are visible. That shows trust, that shows confidence. When you shake hands with people, make it firm. Okay. When you greet others, when you say Assalamu alaikum or good afternoon, make it friendly and loud. The way you walk, be very mindful of the way you walk, a confident pace. Smile all throughout. Address everybody in the panel. You might have a very friendly looking face in the panel. Don't make the mistake of answering all questions by looking at only his or her face. The decision maker could be sitting next to this person. So make sure that you move around like a rotating fan. Look at everybody. Confident arm gestures, okay, which shows that you have nothing to hide, and a cheerful, energetic tone. Okay. Now, what I want to do is, for the sake of the employability lab, okay. Joy, is it done? Okay, thank you, Joy. Most of his questions. Now, before I talk about the 12 questions, this is the number one, the most favorite question of all interviewers. where once you've settled down, you're going to face 4 or 5 people sitting around you, serious looking people, okay, who are probably sizing you up and going through your documents. And then one of them will smile and clear his or her throat and say, okay, now please tell me about yourself. Now, this is an extremely important question, because in probably less than 30 seconds or 40 seconds, you get a chance to create a favorable first impression. Okay, do not stumble. Be fully prepared to answer this question. So now, this is not the only right answer, but based on my experience, this is the answer that I would recommend. It says, I'm a computer science graduate. I'm a BAF graduate from the University of West London, and I'm looking for a challenging position in a reputed organization like yours. So speak with confidence. Every word should stand out. I can offer, let's say you're working for MR, that's one of the suggestions that you gave. I can offer MR the following strengths. So you had listed your strengths. I was pretty impressed with what you said. I'm very good at problem solving. I'm very good at communication. I'm very good at analytical thinking. I'm very good at project management. And these are the strengths that I can offer MR. I hope we can work together and add value to each other. With a nice smile, with confidence. This is an extremely good way to start a wonderful interview session. Okay, so this is how it goes. Mention your major. I'm a Dash graduate from UWL. I'm looking for a challenging position in a reputed organization like yours, and I can offer 1, 2, 3. These are my strengths. I can offer you this, and I hope we can work together and add value to each other. Okay, I've seen a lot of people fumbling, people saying, my name is Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim, and I'm looking for a job. Obviously, you're looking for a job. That's the reason you're there. My name is Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim. I've just completed. This is my GPA. But all those information, they are available on your CV. They are available on your file. Now, this is a great opportunity for you to create a good first impression. Okay, so it's important to do that well. Now, talking about the questions, these have been rated as the 12 most challenging questions in interviews, especially for newcomers, for fresh graduates. Okay, the first one is, why should we hire you? Why should we hire you? Because I'm a graduate. There are millions of graduates. Because I've got X GPA. There are millions with X GPA. Okay. Because I've passed out from this organization. Yeah, but there are many who have passed out from that organization. So you need to have a very unique answer on why should they hire you. Again, you should have done your research on the organization. You should know what the organization is about. On every organization's website, you'll find a page that talks about values. What are our values? You have to connect values and your strengths. So please visit those 2 websites that I shared with you in the chat box at the beginning of the session, where you can find your strengths, and these strengths are acknowledged by interviewers. So you should be able to quote. You should hire me because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I comply with the values of your organization. Okay, we really don't have time today, as of course, not a surprise, as I promised you, because we'll be doing a series of sessions. We just wanted to make sure that the basics are covered in today's module. What are your weaknesses? This is an extremely, extremely sensitive question. There are some who say that I don't have any weakness, now that'll definitely put the interviewers off. And at the same time, please make sure that you don't dole out weakness after weakness, which could put them off again. Okay, so you need to find a way to strategically mention your weakness, and you can say that by, while I have a lot of strengths, this is an area for improvement for me, and I'm actively working on this, and I've been working on that. So that's one way of saying you're aware of your weakness and you're doing everything possible for that. And then you have those series of questions. Why do you want to join our company? What makes you think you'll be successful here? How long will you be? How long do you plan to work with us? And so on and so forth. Okay. So we've got people moving into the room now, just before we are about to close the session here. So my dear young friends, let me quickly summarize what we mentioned. Okay. Hugely challenging world out there. You need to really work towards getting a great job. And I think we need to move out of that victim mentality and say, nobody gave me internship. There are internship opportunities out there, hundreds of them available for the taking. Just so that you guys, so that I can show you the screen. Let me share this with you. Just give me a second. Indeed.ae. In Dubai. This is the website. Let me share the screen again. Indeed.ae. This is the website. So you can just go and click on internship. You can mention Dubai, you can mention Abu Dhabi, you can mention Ras Al Khaimah, and all the internship opportunities. Some of them are free, some of them are paid for, but you get a great opportunity for you to be a part of a good organization, to learn from them, and also to get a good certificate. Yeah. So again, we need to move away from victimhood. Spend time on your LinkedIn account. Put a target that by the time you pass out, you'll have at least 300 professionals working in top grade organizations who are connected with you, who know your dreams and aspirations. You have conversed with them, you have shared your achievements with them, and they are in a position to support you. Okay. Please spend time working on aptitude tests. There are a lot of free options, 3 of them: verbal reasoning, numeric reasoning, and abstract thinking. Unless and until you're able to crack those, trust me, you'll not be able to reach the interview panel. So you might have great GPA, you might have wonderful skills, but unless you go through that gate successfully, it's going to be tough for you. And then realize that you might have a development center activity. So please make sure that you don't behave like a chimp there, you behave like a champ. But then it becomes a challenge if you decide, oh, till the time I reach a development center, I'll be a chimp, because human habits don't change that quickly. Yeah, so you need to start. And as I keep saying, you know, you can still be the best at college and still enjoy the most of it as well. Yeah, that's a smart way of doing it. You know, listen well in class, take part in activities, work on your employability skills, develop a good brand name for yourself. One of the questions in those 12 was, if your professor is asked to describe you, how would they describe you? Okay. So understand that the way you have been involved in this webinar today is giving an opportunity for the world to judge you, the world to give you tags and names. And please don't, lose an opportunity to develop a favorable set of brand attributes for yourself, because it hugely matters. It hugely. And then finally, you reach the interview stage. As promised, we'll have a series of sessions where we'll particularly talk about each of these questions in detail, what to answer, what not to answer. And finally, there's usually a question, would you have anything to ask us? Now, that's a trick question because it usually stumps the interviewee. It's very important to ask a good, impactful question. So we'll discuss that as well. Yeah. Now, would you have any questions, guys? We only have around 10-15 minutes to go. Would you have any questions for us? You can either use the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask us. Yes, Joy. Joy says you're confused. Please open up, because others could also be confused as you, who might. Is fruit business bad business? Joy, how do you decide whether a business is good or bad? It all depends upon your goal, right? If your interest is to, for example, make a lot of money, okay, then you need to approach it from that angle. There are hundreds of fruit business people all around, yeah? So the effort that you put in, okay, you'll have to procure fruits, yeah, you'll have to have a distribution network in place, you need to have branding. In that case, is that going to give you enough returns to fulfill your dreams? So that's a question you should be asking you. And yes, as Joy is saying, vegetables as well. How do I apply for airport management even though I'm doing a business related course? I mean, I didn't really think about it. So maybe, thank you. I'm not sure whether I can pronounce your name correctly. Yeah. See, please consider your major that you're doing, your graduation that you're doing, as just one step in your journey. Okay. just because you did a computer course major or just because you did a major in BAF doesn't mean that your prospects in all the other domains are closed. That's the reason I give you my example. I'm an engineer with an MBA in marketing. I'm into teaching now. I'm in teaching and training. So what you need to do is just don't say airport management. You need to do some research on what kind of jobs are available in that space. Okay. What I would advise you to do is please use LinkedIn again, search with the word airport management, find a couple of good contacts, establish a relationship with them, ask them. LinkedIn is a great place to find mentors. What courses did you do? What job prospects are there? And then plan to do that as the next step in your career as well. Yeah, wonderful. Somebody was asking me about the website. Oh, to understand your career strengths. These are the websites, because that would, when they ask you the question, please tell me about yourself. You need to be able to tell them about your strengths. Yeah, it's important to know them. Yesh is asking, would companies hire based on aptitude tests or the amount of experience we have in the related field? Yesh, even if you are an experienced person, like I've been in the industry for the last 20 years, even if I've got a lot of relevant experience, I've got around 11 or 12 certifications in the field, but still the first step is always an aptitude test. The first step is always an aptitude test because they'll send you the link. It's part of the company's policy that they will not recruit anybody, for example, who has not scored more than 70% in an aptitude test, regardless of the experience that you have, regardless of the institutions that you've studied in. So it's extremely important to go do those tests and to be conversant with them. Yeah. Wonderful. Any more questions, guys? Please do visit these sites and understand your core strengths. They come in handy while answering questions. Would you have any more questions? Thank you, Hamad. Anybody else, guys? This is the time to ask.
So there was a question from Shankar. What are the websites told during start of the session?
That's right. I saw that, Anupama. Thank you. And I've posted it here. It's high5test.com.
Right. Okay.
What should I ask if someone asks me, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Ansel, that's exactly the reason. How should I respond? I got it. No problem. That is exactly the reason why I posted those two links. They're free. They ask you a series of questions, and from which you can really understand it. They glean out your strengths and areas for improvement. Yeah. So let me tell you. Let me give you my example. What are my strengths as a person if I'm facing an interview? I've got extremely good interpersonal skills. Okay, so I connect with people, I connect with youth, I connect with seniors. Okay, and that's extremely important for an organization because they need people to be able to work well with one another. Yeah, so interpersonal skills is a strength of mine. I'm pretty good when it comes to being creative. Okay, so I'm able to come up with new ideas, come up with new products and processes. I'm pretty good with my presentation skills. I do that pretty well and I enjoy doing that. Okay, so those are my strengths. What are my areas for improvement? I'm not a very logical person because I tend to be emotional. Okay, and my attention to detail is not that great. I always look at the big picture. But when I talk about my weaknesses, I shouldn't just say, "Oh, I'm not a logical person at all," yeah, or my attention to detail is bad, because that could kill my prospects. That's the reason you need to phrase that in a very nice way. Say that, attention to detail is not one of my typical strengths. So because of that, I make sure that I really check and recheck. I read and reread, and I try to understand. Okay, because I want to make sure that I don't make any mistakes. So you mentioned your weakness, but you've also mentioned that you are working towards improving that. I'm more emotional than logical. So I make sure that, before jumping into conclusions, before letting anything hurt me, I really look at it objectively. So that's the way you have to talk about your weaknesses. We'll talk about that in detail, yeah, when we end the subsequent sessions. If they ask the experience of the job, what should I ask? What should I say? Mishab, usually they don't, because it's written in your CV, okay? So they will not ask you particularly, I mean, they won't ask you a general question, tell me about your experience, yeah? They want to really know your experience in certain domains. So if you're working in project management, if project management is one of your strengths, they might ask you, tell us about a time when you handled a complicated project, because they want a story. So you need to give them specific examples. You know, I was working in this organization, I was handling this project, it was challenging because we had very little, the duration was short, the budget was short, you know, people were not supporting, and then you tell them the story on how you handle it. Or for example, they might ask you, tell us about a time when you had a conflict with a manager and how did you handle that? Okay, so they will be asking you specific questions about experience, not tell us about your experience in general. Yeah? Thank you, Mishab. Lovely question. Anyone else would like to pose any more questions? Okay, in that case, guys, I would, with your permission, want to close our first Employability Lab webinar for our existing students. We will continue this journey, talking not just about interview questions. A couple of students that come to the university, they told me that they really want to improve their spoken English skills. So they were asking me, are there any techniques to improve spoken English skills? So we will devote a session for that. There are a lot of cool techniques, extremely cool techniques by which you can speak better, convince better, influence people better. So we would be doing that as well. But as a signing off note, what I want to tell you is we hope and pray that all of you get into great organizations. Okay. And if you're selling fruits or vegetables, we hope you succeed in that as well, because we don't want to demean any job or career. But my advice would be to first work in a fruit sellers organization. So you first be an employee where you gain a lot of amazing knowledge about the fruit market, buying behaviors of people, okay, the best fruits to buy, the best locations to buy them from, how to price them appropriately. Once you've amassed those skills, you can jump into your own business. There's no easy way out, guys. Yeah, there's no easy way out. You need to really work your way up from now till the time you pass out. Work on LinkedIn, understand your strengths, do those aptitude tests, and equip yourself to really, really be unique. There are thousands and thousands of students who are passing out, and if you want to land that plum job, you'll have to work towards that. Okay. Thank you, Joy. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, guys, thank you for being with us. Thank you for the questions. Loved it. Writing CV application, we could include the project management. Definitely. No, when you're passing out when you're a fresh graduate, you wouldn't be asked questions about your experience. You'll be only asked questions about your domain, what you've learned, and your behavioral aspects. So don't worry about that. Yeah. And yes, we'll do a session on CV writing as well, how to write a killer CV. This was just an intro. Looking forward to having many more sessions in the future. So guys, thank you once again. And I hope you found the session useful and interesting. Would love to get your feedback. Okay. Anupama, would you want to take over?
Yes, sir. And thank you, sir. That was extremely useful for the students, and thank you for answering all the questions. And dear students, I'm sure you had a good exposure through today's session, along with some very useful tips, and I want you all to put them into practice and see the benefits and explore the opportunities that you have out there. And I'm sure you will. And we'll have many more sessions in future, and we'll keep you posted regarding the details to join the next session. And now it's time to wind up today's session. Take care, stay safe, and bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you, Anupama.